Well, and I think I have plenty of metal to build it with. So we'll chop some of this up, haul it back to the shop, and get to work. All right, just got back to the shop. I cut up one of those big spools out there. I grabbed one of these barrels that I had, and yeah, I could buy one, but I got the time, got all this stuff, so let's throw it together, see if we can't make one. Got the main frame of it all welded up. Didn't turn out too bad. You saw me having to step away from it a couple times. I usually weld all my stuff with, my welder does 110 or 220. Well, welding for that kind of duration got a little hot and tripped the breaker a couple times. So switched her over to the big plug and got it finished up. Now I'm gonna stand it up, figure out what we're gonna do for the bottom bracing. We're this is the top, this is the front side of it, but like if it was flipped over, we're gonna kind of come up on an angle and then back down so that we can have our pivot point somewhere in here. Because I'm gonna get one of the electric over hydraulic actuators to put on here and just wire it to a toggle in there so that I can hit a button and angle the blade one way, hit a button, angle it the other. And the winch should be here any day, which I got to do some reworking on this bumper because it's kind of chintzy. It was on there when I got it. Definitely wouldn't recommend one of these bad dog bumpers. It's pretty chintzy. You can see the bracket that goes behind there. It's already bent from when they did have a winch on it and tried to use it. So we're gonna fix that, get the winch on it. Hopefully the winch will be here on Tuesday or Wednesday, a couple days. And I'll have this thing pretty close to where we can get it mounted on here, get it kind of sitting where it's supposed to, and then do some wiring. getting somewhere. Starting to take a little shape. Got a little more welding to do here and there, but I got some pipe that's going to go in there. So I'm going to build a bracket on the top and the bottom and the pipe between it, so it's got a pivot there. So I'll be able to angle the blade one way or the other. Yeah, I don't think it's coming together too bad. It'll push snow when it's done. All right, I got some brackets here that I'm gonna actually weld on the bottom of the frame there. And then this will get welded. I got it all mocked up here with my custom spacers. I still got to weld all this together. This is upside down, so it'll be flipped over, and it'll set on top of those other two pieces of angle that are going to come off the front of the frame. So then the plow part is going to set in here and pin in, so it should be pretty easy to take on and off. But I'm going to get all this welded up and get that set up under there. Once we get all that on, then we can start building the contraption to connect the two. And I got this here that I'm going to use in here for the pivot. So I'm going to weld some plates on the bottom of this that are going to come out, and then the top one is going to actually bolt it together, so it'll have one center bolt, then two bolts back here that'll bolt to that bottom part of the frame. So I can take the 3 bolts out, and then the plow will come off of the piece that connects it to the front, just in case you ever have to work on it. So these are the brackets that I decided to make up for this. Just some angle iron that I had laying around. Put one on each side, and then this bracket that I made here for the end of it. Once I get it all tacked on there, this will go right on here and get tacked on. And then weld the whole thing up. And then we'll be able to start building the arms that connect to the end here that go down to the plow. I thought about bolting these on, figuring out a contraption to bolt them on, but might as well just weld them on. If I want to change it, I can always cut them off later. So there's the finished product of what's going to be mounted on the side-by-side, all welded up and done. So now to get this back up there and figure out our pivot plates and what we're going to run up there to quick connect it. Then we'll have to end up putting a mount or a D-ring or something on here for the winch cable to hook up to be able to raise it up and down. All right, so here's the plan. I got this, which fits in here perfect. A little loose, so it'll still tilt side to side a little bit. I'm going to weld one of these angle plates to this, and then I'll be able to build the bottom frame coming off of the angle iron there. And then on the top side, I'll take another piece of angle and I'm going to drill a hole, and I'll weld a nut on the inside of this. So then the top frame will be connected to that piece of angle iron coming back this way. Hey guys, all right, so here's what I got so far. Let me see if I can spin this around. No, I can't. All right, so there's the whole framework. I got it so it pivots on here. Quick connect up there. What I'm gonna do is, my plan anyway, I cut the top and the bottom of the barrel off. I think there'll be enough material there for me to use it just the way it's curved there for the curve of the blade. I'll have to put 3 pieces on it. I haven't decided yet. I've got a whole box of carriage bolts, so I might end up just using carriage bolts on the whole thing and just put it in that way. Because I'm kind of thinking I might end up using more carriage bolts and putting another bottom lip to it that I could take off and replace when it messes up, if it ever does. But that's what she looks like. She does turn. I think I'm gonna put like a rubber bushing in here so it's got a little bit less, but it still has some play. Because when it turns out, you need it to have a little bit of play in it so it'll still sit flat. But I'm gonna take it apart and throw some paint on everything before I go putting the blade on it. All right, well, I forgot to stick the phone up before I started fighting this thing, and I wasn't gonna take it back off to redo it. This was a complete pain to try to get this thing to contour and roll out the way I wanted to, and I finally got some clamps on it. So, obviously that's not the way that I was thinking I was gonna do it, but I think I'd rather have 1 piece than 3 pieces. Now, it would be a lot easier because the barrel already wants to conform to this way to do it in 3 sections, but I don't know, I decided I just want to do 1 piece. So it's not really wanting to bend all the way. So I figure I'll put it up here like this. Maybe I'll start putting some carriage bolts in across like the bottom and up the side and on some of these supports. And then maybe it'll relax a little bit. If not, I'll break the heat gun out and heat it up and get it to lay down where I want it and get the rest of the bolts in it. I think that'll be good. There's the finished plastic on it. I use those carriage bolts so they'd be smooth. And I used lock nuts on the other side. I think it turned out pretty decent. Now we'll get it all put back on the side-by-side and see how she looks.
Yeah. Come on in.
Engineering, done. All right, guys, so the linear actuator showed up finally today. So got it kind of set in here. I was putting it all over the place trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to do this, but I think I'm going to go ahead and mount it on the side here. It clears the tires by plenty when they're turning. So, but I got a bracket that I started making for mounting back here. I think what I'm going to do is, I got this angle iron here. I'll put one of these bolts on it and weld it to it and then clamp it maybe lift it up and then just try the action and make sure that where I put this on here is going to give me enough angle for where I want to be able to angle the blade on both sides before I put it all the way in there, or permanently put it in. So I got this bracket that I made up over here. I'll figure I'll weld that on the side and be able to pin it. And then on the plow side, we'll have a bolt on there, so this will just drop on and I'll be able to put a nut on it. And then I got to wire up a relay, and I've got a reverse polarity, or polarity reversing momentary switch. So one way will go out and then one way will go in. Currently waiting on, I had to order longer wires to get the winch wired up because, of course, the cables that came with the winch are way too short to reach the battery and go up to the top or the front of the side by side where the control box is mounted. And can't really get any closer because that's as long as those wires are. So, great job, Amazon. But I'll set you guys up on a little time lapse and we'll put that bracket on there and try to get this stuff situated. Alright, so I finally got the wiring all squared away for wiring up the switch for the actuator and the winch. I didn't have any of it done. I've been kind of lazy, but used a two-prong plug so that I could mount it to the front bumper and be able to take it out when I'm not having it on there and it's closed up and secured. I mounted I didn't have a left or a right one, so just an up and down momentary switch. So one way will go one way, the other way goes the other way, and the winch in and out, or I've got a remote for it. But gonna try her out for the first time. I don't have this welded on because I didn't know if I need to move this out if we have enough angle either way. So we'll see what it looks like. Wow, I actually think that'll be just fine. You just weld it in there like that. That's awesome. Heck yeah. Well, I'll get that. I'll cut this plate a little different and get it all welded in there and then do something different with our wires so they're not just hanging here. And we'll be done with it. All right, here she is, finished product. And I made this all out of those duct reels. You can get those on tons of job sites for free. I mean, if you show up, they'll basically give them to you if you can haul them off. It's just free metal and 55-gallon drum for the blade part. Now I did this. I mean, had I not done that, I'd have nothing but my time in this. But you know, those are after shipping. I think it was 150 bucks to make it power. And I could have just put a pin on here and just pull the pin and manually turn it. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to do it that way. And just raise it up. And the momentary switch, you can angle it. It angles pretty far. I think it'll work just fine. So hopefully we get some snow and we'll get to try it out. We'll make another video whenever it does finally snow and see how she works out. I think it'll work out fine. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this one. That's it. Snow plow for the side-by-side. Now it'll never snow again. But let me know what you thought. Drop a comment. Let me know how you would have done it different, or any ideas or anything like that. I'll keep the videos coming when I got other projects, things pop up that I want to build or do or make or whatever. So thanks, guys. See ya.